Hello, people. Welcome back to another episode of the OCM Botcast. I'm your host, Chad Marco, and I hope you guys are doing fantastic today. I know that I am. So, if you didn't notice, today's episode is called Cuckoo'd. Now, don't get me wrong. This episode is not about the cuck fetish or anything like that. We're not going there quite yet, but believe me, that's coming too. But this episode is actually going to be about paternity fraud. Because if you guys notice, on the previous episodes of the Nightwalk vlog, I talked about the death of the creator of the Berserk manga. And I also talked about why men should always get a DNA test just if they ever so happen to get a girl pregnant, right? And so I want to dive deeper into that particular conversation. You know, why should men always get a DNA test if they get a girl pregnant? Now I know it's like, why should we concern ourselves with that? But, you know, the thing about it, I know a lot of us, we're virgins. We've never had sex. But also, again, a good amount of my fan base have had sex. Have had sex, will have sex, will get married, will have kids, and get someone pregnant. Like a lot of, you know, some of you guys are going to have those experiences. Hopefully it won't be me. But some of you guys are going to have those experiences. And so it's always worth talking about stuff like this. Because we do have quite the varied community, and on top of that, it's interesting anyway. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, going in depth into the world of paternity fraud. It's quite interesting. But how are you guys doing? So before I get into the news, just got to talk about a couple things. But so if you guys noticed, then I did a video about the Patreon supporters who donated, and it allowed me to buy a brand spanking new mic. I'm not using it right now. I'm still going to continue to use this mic in particular for my podcasting and other things, where I have to like just sit down and do videos like this. And then the other mic is going to be my exclusive rap mic. That way I don't have to keep moving things around. You know, I have this mic attached to the arm handle that's maneuverable and great for podcasting, and the new mic is attached to a mic stand that I also just purchased. So, you know, that way I don't have to keep moving shit around like I used to. You know, when I had the one mic, I had to take this one and set it up to rap, because I don't rap sitting down. So I had to set it up and put books on the it was weird, man. And because my mic stand there broke, and I had to, it got pretty bootleg in here. So that's why I'm so glad that I went ahead and got the new mic and mic stand. So thank you so much to the guys who are supporting the Patreon and donated. It allowed me to up my studio game. I'm definitely going to put it to good use. I'm writing some songs right now, making some beats right now, working on a couple projects. So you guys have that to look forward to. Also, I know I can be pretty inconsistent, but as far as the little video game streams that I do, or maybe even if I just decide to get on webcam and do like a stream like that, look for those Wednesday nights and Friday nights. I'm gonna try to be consistent now. As far as Wednesdays and Friday nights, I'm gonna try to be consistent there. But I also might do a stream Saturday night, Sunday night if I feel like it. But generally speaking, look for those streams Wednesday nights and Friday nights, anywhere from like 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's probably around the time that I might start streaming. So, yeah, that as well. And I think that's about it. And we should get right into the cast. So let's get into the news. Now, I don't have a lot of news. I'm sure there are a lot of things going on in the world, but really nothing that interests me that much. But there was one thing that happened really a couple weeks ago that caught my attention and got me interested, and it is the Wuhan, what should I call this? The Wuhan Lab COVID-19 conspiracy. So here's a headline from I got from a news article site. So it says U.S. report found it plausible that COVID-19 leaked from Wuhan Lab. The 2020 lab report was used by the State Department in its own inquiry during Trump administration. Now, if you guys remember, Donald Trump, when he was president, he was one of the people who came forward with that theory that the COVID-19 was created in a lab and then it leaked out and yada yada yada. But the prevailing story has always been that the virus transmitted from animals to humans, and that's how it spread. Let me just pull up something real quick here. Make sure I got everything. Okay, that's good. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pull something up. All right, so let's get right into this article that I totally just jacked from the internet. So, a report on the origins of COVID-19 by a U.S. government national laboratory concluded that the hypothesis claiming the virus leaked from a Chinese lab in Wuhan is plausible and deserves further investigation. According to people familiar with the classified document, the study was prepared in May 2020 by the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California and was drawn on by the State Department when it conducted an inquiry into the pandemic's origins during the final months of the Trump administration. It is attracting fresh interest in Congress now that President Biden has ordered that U.S. intelligence agencies report to him within weeks on how the virus emerged. Mr. Biden said that U.S. intelligence has focused on two scenarios: whether the coronavirus came from human contact with an infected animal or from a laboratory accident. So this could have major implications right here if this happened to be a laboratory accident instead of some sort of mutated, infected bat, because if this is a laboratory accident, then now it's like, okay, well, China, this is really your fucking fault. I mean, this is your negligence. Not to say that you created and released the virus intentionally, although we could go down that road too. But even if it was an accident, goddamn, y'all, this shit killed a lot of fat people. This disease killed half the old people. Goddamn, like, what do you guys have to say for yourself? So it's pretty. This is some major shit. And when I first found out about it, I was just browsing through Twitter, and that's when I first saw it. And then it was quite a little while ago, but I dug a little bit more into it, reading some articles and whatnot. So it's still not concrete, but it as they say, the plot thickens. This could have all kind of serious implications. Like I said, if it was an accident, then it's still bad because it's just like, y'all fucked up. You caused this fucking around with viruses. Like, you're basically Umbrella from Resident Evil right now. I mean, and you have to be held accountable even if it was an accident. I don't know exactly what they would do, but man. And then the scarier scenario, which I really hope isn't the case, is that they created and released the virus intentionally. Like, what if that was the case? What if they said, fuck it, man. Trump over there talking mad shit. And didn't Trump like change our business dealings with China? Like, I forgot the specifics of it, but didn't he like end some type of trade deals or something that ultimately weren't like in our favor as a country? And then that might have upset China. And so, okay, Trump think he's Mr. Big and Bad. Let's create this virus and fuck up this and fuck up his country and his chances of being reelected. Again, that's a look. I know now we're getting into Cthulhu territory, but really not. It's not even that damn far-fetched, but it's a very serious accusation. I'm just saying that there is enough plot points there to make that, to draw that picture. You know, Trump, again, the way Trump was and some of the things that he did, and from my limited understanding of how he changed certain dealings with China that they might not have liked, there goes a reason right there. All right, well, we'll show him. You know, but again, it's at this point it's all just speculation. Nothing has been proven, but moving into the future, it will be interesting to see how this develops. So let's read on. The assessment is said to have been among the first U.S. government efforts to seriously explore the hypothesis that the virus leaked from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology, along with the dominant hypothesis that the virus spread naturally from animals to humans. Although some prominent scientists have called for a fuller probe of the lab hypothesis in recent months, many scientists still insist a natural spillover remains the most likely explanation. China's government has repeatedly denied that the virus escaped from a Chinese laboratory and said it is cooperating fully with the international efforts to find the pandemic's origins. Many scientists and officials from other countries dispute that Beijing has provided sufficient access and transparency in the investigation. God damn, who am I, Pop Smoke? The Wuhan Institute of Virology has also denied that the virus leaked from its facilities and said that none of its staff has tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, so I know that people talk about World War III, but how it would be fought like no other war. Let me get a sip of this canned lemonade. But yeah, whenever people talk about World War III, they always talk about how it'll be fought like no other war. Like it's gonna be just bombs on bombs, cyber warfare, chemical warfare and whatnot. And then I look at this, I again looking at it from the possibility of this actually being an intentional attack on the U.S. But then you also have to wonder, but it affected many different countries. But then I guess that kind of is an inevitable outcome. Collateral damage, so to speak. Like we really wanted the U.S., but we ended up getting everybody else with the same bomb. But again, it's a stretch. It's a stretch, without a doubt. It's definitely a bit of a stretch, but it's fascinating to me because I've always heard this sort of talk about how World War III would be fought totally differently from all other wars previously, and look at what an unintentional, well, in quotation marks, right? What an unintentional viral outbreak was able to do. I mean, it brought America not to its knees. I mean, I'm not gonna gas it up like that, because really, you could even argue that our response might have even been too cautious. Like we went too far with the mask and social distancing and shutting stuff down. But again, you could argue that either way. You know, maybe the death toll would be far worse. Maybe it wasn't as bad that we need to do all of that. But regardless, we did that. And this is just the power of an unintentional virus. What happens when those scientists in the Wuhan Virology Institute say, you know what, it's war. Let's really create some T-virus shit and send it over to whoever we're at war with. Like, what happens when people start making viruses with the intention to kill and destroy? Not just a goddamn super flu. I'm talking some goddamn Resident Evil 2/3 tyrants walking around, liquors and liquors down the street, decapitating motherfucking zombies and shit. That's, man, what happens when people put their mind to that shit for the sake of destruction? That's what the fuck scares me. But so of course China repeatedly denied that the virus escaped from the Chinese laboratory. That's of course, and it's cooperating fully with international efforts to find the pandemic's origin. But then the follow-up, Officials from other countries dispute that Beijing has provided sufficient access and transparency in the investigation. So that's kind of sketchy too. But at the same time, China has always been kind of a guarded country where it's like they don't like a lot of interference from other countries. They participate in our little kumbaya, world of nations meetings and all that. Like, they're down with the global gang, but to a limited extent. They're not gonna have you all up in their business. And like, again, there's still, you think about it, it's still kind of a secretive country in a way. Maybe not as far as North Korea or something like that, but you can tell that they're looking at the rest of the world like, hey, our dick is just as big as yours. And we have our guard up. Like, they're not sweating everybody else, and they don't feel the need to submit to America or anybody else. It's just, we can work together, but only to a certain extent. But it's sketchy as fuck. And so this last piece here, the journal reported last month that this assertion was based, at least in part, on a U.S. intelligence report that 3 WIV researchers became sick enough in November 2019 that they sought hospital care. So that's one of the pieces of information that leads people to believe that this might have been an outbreak from the facility, was that they're saying that 3 people got sick before the big COVID outbreak and they sought hospital care. And apparently they were from that same Wuhan Institute of Virology. And that's part of their evidence that this might have been a viral outbreak, that where the source was from that particular institute instead of it being some bat shitting or some bat meat, bat shit, I don't know, just spreading to some meat seller on a Chinese market. But it's a juicy story, but I hope that it's cap. I hope that this is cap. I hope that this is not as serious, because this, man, what this could mean if they find hard evidence that, like, not even that it was intentional, like, okay, we're gonna fuck up the US, but even just if it was an accident, like the response, not just from America, but every other country, how we're going to look at China moving forward. Like, you dumb motherfucker. Like, you dumb retarded ass motherfucker. It's like, what the hell? I mean, God, it could get crazy, but I hope it's not as serious as it seems. But that's it for the news for today. We're not going to get too much into that. So we're going to have a bit of OC, and then we're going to get to the main topic where we'll be talking about paternity fraud. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome back, people. Hope you enjoyed that bit of OC. And now we're getting into the main topic. Excuse me, I had to burp it. So today's episode is called a Cuckoo'd. Cuckoo'd. So the reason why I decided to call this episode Cuckoo'd is let's refer to the scientific definition of a cuckoo, right? So the cuckoo is actually a bird. That's where the whole cuck name comes from. So it's a largely grayish brown European bird that is it's the Cuculus canoris. The Cuculus. I'm gonna start calling these goddamn simps Cuculuses. That's hilarious. It's a Cuculus that is a parasite given to laying its eggs in the nest of other birds, which hatch them and rear the offspring broadly. Any of a large family, Cuculidae, or the order of Cuculiformes, to which this bird belongs. Now, of course, this is a bit different from paternity fraud, right? Because the cuck is the cuckoo is going to another nest, leaving the egg where both, you would think, excuse me, both the female and male bird would end up raising this bird as his own. So it is a bit different, but in a way, it's still paternity fraud. Just in this case, both the male and the female are being duped. But of course, the kind of paternity fraud that we're talking about is of the human variety, where the woman is deceiving the man, most of the time deceiving. Sometimes they really don't know who the daddy is, but still they know that they're always gonna know, depending on how many guys they've been having sex with, that it might be at least a chance that it's not the man's baby, at least the man that they're claiming it to be. So let's start looking at some of the data here. So, what is paternity fraud? Paternity fraud occurs when the mother of a child misidentifies a man as the biological father of her child. In some cases, the mother knows full well that the man is not biologically linked to the child. In other cases, she only suspects that her child is not genetically linked to the father she named on the birth certificate. So when it comes right down to it, the female always knows to a certain extent, right? She always knows, and that's what makes it so fucked up, is that this is one of those things where there are no accidents. There are just no accidents. If you're a female and you find out you're pregnant by however many months, right? Then okay, well, how many guys did I have sex with within the last month, or 2 months, or 3 months? And if it was 4, then that's four possible daddies. If it was 2, then it's 2 possible daddies. If it was 1, then it can only be his. And man, that's what makes this such a nasty act for a woman to commit, is that they always know that it's a possibility that it's not the guys who they're claiming it to be. I know someone personally who pulled that, who pointed the finger at a certain guy for being the daddy, and then it turned out that he wasn't the daddy. And when I analyzed that situation, I realized that it was a situation where the guy that she wanted to be the father wasn't the father, but she kind of wanted him to be, because I believe that was the guy that she really liked, and the daddy was just like some scrub. But she was basically trying to trap this nigga with a baby. Let's be real. But yeah, it's absolutely foul, man, because they always know to some extent that at the very least there's a possibility. And instead of coming forward and saying, okay, well, I think you might be the father, but there's also Jim, there's Tayshawn, there's Malik, there's Pedro, there's Rashad, There's Zing. Zing. Yeah, you remember when I went to Beijing on that trip? I met this guy named Zing. I mean, they always know to a certain extent, man. So let's read further. How does it happen? Paternity fraud generally happens when a man is asked to sign an affidavit of paternity for a child with whom he shares no biological connection. Presumably, in such cases, it is the mother who is urging the man to sign the affidavit or birth certificate form. The issue is then complicated when the state uses the affidavit or birth certificate as proof of paternity in a child support case, instead of ordering an actual DNA test before assigning child support. In some states, paternity fraud also happens through a process known as the presumption of paternity. This happens when a man is designated by the state as the child's biological father simply because he and the mother were married at the time of the child's birth or conception. In actual law, in some states, the presumption of paternity causes some men to pay child support on behalf of children they are not related to. In some cases, even long after the misattributed paternity is apparent. So this right here is all the proof that you need that the laws are not in our favor. The laws are not in the favor of men. Everything here is set up to benefit the women and allow them to finesse the fuck out of men. And that's why you have to be the one to stand up as men and say, I'm getting a goddamn DNA test. I don't care what she look like. I don't care what she sound like. I don't care how long I've known her. I mean, I broke it down in that video, man. I don't give a fuck if you're the last man on earth. Get that goddamn DNA test. I don't care if y'all been handcuffed together since you met. Get the goddamn DNA test. I don't care how much you trust her. I don't care how much you love her. You should get the DNA test on principle. Because these laws are not in your favor. If it turns out that it's not yours, nigga, you already signed the birth certificate. You gonna go through hell. You about to go through hell trying to get off child support. Because they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't want to hear it. And what you gotta understand, bro, is that if you not taking care of the kid, who gonna take care of it? Because it's a lot easier to stick you with the responsibility than it is to actually find the father. Because now it's what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years later? The father, he's in goddamn Virginia, Colorado. She ain't about to find this dude. She don't know where he at. Who gonna take care of this damn bastard? And that's part of the reason. You know, these laws, they benefit women. And they lessen the burden on the state because it's like, we ain't taking care of that motherfucker. So you on the hook, even if you find out it ain't yours, because you signed that birth certificate. I'm telling you, do not sign the birth certificate unless you are 100% certain. I know, and I know it's hard. It's hard. That's a hard thing to come forward with a female. I understand that. Because when you say I want a DNA test, you're saying I don't 100% trust you. But let me tell you something. I have no shame in admitting that I do not 100% trust anyone on this fucking planet, period. I'm keeping it a bean. I don't trust no one on this planet 100%. It's not, what? Why? Why should I? I have no shame in admitting that. So if I was in that situation and you don't trust me, no, I don't. Not that much. I would trust no one that much. And ultimately the issue is that most of these guys who get finessed like this are the ones who love and trust the hardest. It don't matter how you feel. What did Alonzo say in Training Day? It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. I don't give a fuck if you know that you didn't cheat on me. Can you prove it? Hell no. Well, actually, yeah, by getting a DNA test. Let's prove it. And that's all I'm saying. It is not what you know, it's what you can prove. So let's prove it. Let's go get a DNA test. And the thing about it, if it was mandatory, you would sidestep all this emotional bullshit. You know, men wouldn't have to come forward and basically admit, I don't trust you. And that in of itself is going to create an issue. But I'd rather create that issue than to get finessed. So let's read forward. Paternity fraud revealed. Paternity fraud often goes undetected for years. Sometimes it comes to light after medical records reveal that the child cannot possibly be related to the man attributed as the biological father. In cases where paternity fraud has resulted in child support payments, the court is left to decide whether those payments should continue. While it seems on the surface that the obvious answer is no, the court's focus is always on the best interest of the child. As such, the court may cease further child support payments or order a continuation of child support payments. So right there we have it again. These laws and these courts are not in our favor. That's why we have to stack the deck in our favor ourselves. We have to do that ourselves. Guys, you gotta get the fuck out your feelings, bro. These women got y'all in your motherfucking feelings way too much. Oh, but I'm gonna hurt her feelings. Hurt her goddamn feelings. She gonna be alright. Trust me. That shit gonna be bad for like a week, and then after that, it's gonna be back to normal. Don't break. That shit don't matter. Get a goddamn DNA test. Cause this is what you're up against. When it comes down to it, they don't give a fuck about you. So you gotta give a fuck about yourself. I swear, man, one of the wisest things I've ever heard Floyd Mayweather say is that I put myself first because no one else will. That's some real fucking shit. As a man, who's gonna put you first? Think about that shit, bro. The only person is probably your mama. Is probably your mama. You got one person in the world, and she can't do shit once you sign that birth certificate. She can't do a goddamn thing, so you short. So when it come down to it, man, you gotta look out for yourself when it comes to shit, because all these forces are aimed against us. It's working against us. And so we got to do what we can do. Pat, because Pat, like at this point, bro, like the information is there. It's no more room for excuses, bro. Like you get finessed, it's your fucking fault. Consequences. Unfortunately, there are currently no consequences for mothers who commit paternity fraud. Paternity fraud is not considered a punishable crime, and it's extremely difficult to collect or recollect funds from the mother in question. That last part is funny. So there you have it. There you have it. There are no repercussions for a woman to do this. It's like, why not? Why not? Why not? It's like if all of a sudden, the government was like, okay, today stealing is legal. Why wouldn't you do it? No morals. Oh, my moral code. Yeah. You and like 30 other people. Target about to be empty. Walmart empty. GameStop empty. Them bitches about to be empty, bro. We need consequences sometimes. So motherfuckers can act right. But obviously there are no consequences here for women to do this. So it's like, why not? Even if I get caught, that shit ain't nothing. It'll be awkward, but women are built to deal with that shit. Let me adjust the mic a little bit. Like women are built to deal with these kind of stupid, awkward situations. You ever seen those videos where the girls get caught cheating? You ever notice how like they're like slightly annoyed and it's awkward, but you notice like they never feel bad about it. That's the one thing you always notice. When these girls get caught cheating in these videos and shit, they never look guilty. They never look like they did anything wrong. It's always like, when you look at them, it's always like they're more concerned about you embarrassing them and making like a scene in a public place. But it's not even like, damn, you right. I'm sorry. You've never seen that. All these videos of bitch getting caught cheating, you ain't never seen one just stop in her tracks and fucking reflect. Oh, damn. That was fucked up of me. No, it's always like, stop. Go on somewhere, boy. Like, what? Like, they don't give a fuck. And just like this shit, they don't care. Hold up, the last part though. And it's extremely difficult to collect or recollect funds from the mother in question. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go in on that, but you know why that's funny. Okay, so this is from Wikipedia. So this is where we talk about the the rate of occurrence of this particular phenomenon, right? Hold on, let me make sure. Let me check something real quick. Give me a second. I just want to make sure that I didn't skip anything. Consequences. Okay, so we're good. Okay, let's go. So, research published in 2016 indicated that 1 in 50 British fathers is unknowingly raising a child who is the biological child of another man, and that misattributed paternity is rarer than commonly believed. Now, I don't know what exactly is the believed rates of paternity fraud. Really, I don't give a fuck if it's 1 in 50. I don't care if it's 1 in 100. I don't care if it's 1 in 5. Either way, it's fucked up and it's bad. And we could stop. And right there, that first part, I feel like it already, I don't like this because I feel like that they're trying to sweep it under the rug. Like, well, at least misattributed paternity is rarer than commonly believed. I don't give a fuck. It could be 1 in 1,000. This shit still need to stop. And it could easily be stopped if DNA tests were mandatory. How about that? Where is that goddamn source? Where is that citation? So, a 2005 scientific review of international published studies of paternal discrepancy found a range in incidence around the world from 0.8 to 30%, median 3.7%. However, as many of the studies were conducted between the 1950s and 1980s, numbers may be unreliable due to the inaccuracies of genetic testing methods and procedures used at the time. Studies ranging in date from 1991 to 1999 quote the following incidence rates: 11.8% in Mexico, 4% in Canada, 2.8% in France, 1.4% and 1.6% in the UK, and 0.8% in Switzerland. These numbers suggest that the widely quoted and unsubstantiated figure of 10% of non-paternal events is an overestimate. However, in studies that solely looked at couples who obtained paternity testing because paternity was being disputed, there are higher levels, an incidence of 17% to 33%, median of 26.9%. Most at risk were those born to younger parents, to unmarried couples, and those of lower socioeconomic status or from certain cultural groups. So right here, they're trying to piece together like what are the exact percentages as far as the rates of paternity fraud. Goddamn, Mexico, what the hell y'all doing? Mexico, come on, shape up. Shape up, man. But still, all right, so 4% Canada, 2.8% France. Like, now these might seem like small numbers, right? These might seem like small numbers, but just think about it. Like 4 in 100 men, basically 3 out of 100. Like that, dude, that's still a lot. Like don't get it. Like that's still a lot of guys dealing with fucking paternity fraud, raising kids that are not there. That's still bad. Even if it's 1%, it can be 1%. That's still bad. That's still bad when you look at the actual numbers of the guys who are going through this. That's awful. Especially for something that could be completely eradicated due to one simple change, mandatory DNA test. But this is also interesting. Most at risk were those born to younger parents, to unmarried couples, and those of lower socioeconomic status or from certain cultural groups, aka minorities, blacks, niggas. Let's be real, certain cultural groups, please. You're talking about niggas. Look at Mexico, 11.8%. Come on, bro. They're talking about brown people. Let's keep it a buck. So, younger parents, I guess that might be because younger women are still at that age where they're in that whole phase, as they say. They're still riding the cock carousel, so they're probably dealing with more men at the same time. Also, married couples, again, it makes sense because if you're not married, then you might be like participating in hookup culture, or perhaps you're in a relationship. But again, it's not serious in her mind. So she's like, okay, fuck it, I'll cheat on him, I'll get fucked by these other guys. Lower socioeconomic status. So this might imply that if a woman is with a guy of means, then she might find it, less. She might be less willing to take the risk to cheat and fuck up the situation that she's in. Again, you could take all kind of guesses in terms of why these certain groups have higher risk of paternity fraud. So let's continue. A 2008 study in the United Kingdom found that biological fathers were misidentified in 0.2, 1 in 500 of the cases processed by the Child Support Agency. Of that 0.2%, those resolved with DNA paternity testing between 2004 and 2008 showed that between 10 and 19% of mothers had misidentified the biological father. Data about why mothers identified the wrong biological father was not available. Dude, what data do you need? It's a finesse game. It's a finesse. Look, I can break it down for you right here. We don't need a whole article and data. You have women who are having sex with several different men for several different reasons. And then if they get pregnant, they are going to select or identify the man that they want to be the father as the father. It's really that simple. If she's fucking 10 dudes and she ends up pregnant, doesn't know which guy is the father, in her mind, she's not going to select the guy where it's most likely that he's the father. She's going to choose the guy that she wants to be the father. And I think that's why a lot of times women misidentify who the biological father is. I mean, there's still a certain degree of finesse here because they know there's a possibility that he might not be the father and she will not tell them. But to some degree, even herself, she might not be 100% sure. And so she'll use that plausible deniability where I don't really know, but I think it's him, but I think it's him really means I want it to be him. So there you go. Criticism. The topic of paternity fraud is controversial. In the Journal of Medical Ethics, Heather Draper writes that claims for reimbursement and compensation in cases of misattributed paternity produce the same distorted and thin view of what it means to be a father that paternity testing assumes, and underscores a trend that is not in the interest of children. Lynn Turner says that the concept of paternity fraud is about demonization of mothers. Wow. I mean, this is obviously some garbage written by a female. I mean, this is just absolute garbage juice straight from the dumpster. I can't believe she even thought that she should put this on paper or print. This is just absolute garbage. Now, look at what she's saying. Claims for reimbursement and compensation in cases of misattributed paternity produce the same distorted and thin view of what it means to be a father. Let's stop there. So right there, she's saying that being a father isn't about blood. It's not about whether or not the kid is actually yours. Why would she say that? Because this is an idea that benefits women. Let's not get it twisted. This is not about the kids. This is not about the children. Let's keep it about. Now, look, spoiler alert. The next episode of the Botcast is going to be about a book called The Manipulated Man, written by a woman back in the 70s, right? And she talks about how women pretend to love children, but then when you really look at some of their behaviors, you see that a lot of what they do isn't so much for the child, but for themselves. And so again, here she is, and underscores a trend that is not in the interest of children. Now see, she's using children as a shield for women, for females. See, that child, the interest of children, that is a shield. No, it's for the interest of women. This is why it upsets her, because it does not benefit the woman. This is not about the child. This is not about the child. This is about women, because it doesn't. When men say, I want to raise my own goddamn kids, this excuse me, this concept doesn't benefit women, and that's why she rejects it and says something, the thin view of what it means to be a father. What she's saying is that, look, be a stepdaddy. Don't want to raise your own kids. Don't want your kids to be biologically yours. That doesn't matter. Just be a stepdaddy. Raise any kid. Right? But just like what the author of The Manipulated Man says, if women love children so goddamn much, why aren't they hounding for single fathers? Why aren't they out here? It's plenty of babies and kids in the orphanages. Why ain't they just going around adopting all these kids? But women love kids so goddamn much. We love the children. Oh, you want me to adopt from an orphanage? Fuck no. And like she said, that only happens when they can't have kids of their own. When it comes down to it, women want to raise their own goddamn kids. But men, we can't think like that. And look at what she says. The concept of paternity fraud is about the demonization of mothers. You know why? Because it's the demonization that these mothers deserve. So you're correct. At least halfway. Paternity fraud is halfway about the demonization of mothers, and that demonization is well deserved, because it's straight up foul to put a man in a situation like that to begin with, knowing that he might not be the father. It's foul. You are a demon. You are a succubus. You are a Jezebel. Yes, you're a demon. Yes. But the other half of it is simply for the man to not get caught up raising a kid that's not his. Is it so wrong to want to raise your own goddamn kids? Why is that such a goddamn controversial opinion? I do not get it. I want to raise my own kids. No! That's the world that we live in. It's people who really think like that. Like, that's a problem. Australia. So these are like certain cases right here that are pretty interesting. The Victorian County Court in 2002 awarded Mr. McGill $70,000 compensation for damages and economic loss against his ex-wife as a result of DNA testing in 2000 that showed only 1 of 3 children he was paying support for were genetically his. That ruling was later overturned in 2005 by the Victorian Court of Appeal, finding that intent to deceive by the ex-wife had not been proven regarding misrepresentations made by Miss Maggle in birth forms about the children's paternity. This ruling was in turn then appealed with the High Court of Australia. Damn. Hold up, but look at what they said. The ruling was later overturned, finding that intent to deceive by the ex-wife had not been proven. How does that even make sense? How does that? You know that it's probably not his. There's no way she could not know. I don't see how that in of itself it cannot be considered intent to deceive when you know it's a possibility. You know, it's like, it's like if I go to a building, right, with some object. I'm going real left here, so try to follow me. But let's say I'm going into a building with some sort of chemical. And then a guy stops me. He's like, hey, man, if you go in that building with that chemical, because of the other chemicals and fumes in that building, there's a 50% chance it could be a reaction and it could explode and kill everyone. And I say, whatever, and go in there. And boom, to some degree, look, I'm accountable because I knew. It doesn't matter if it was a 50%, a 20%, a 10%. I knew. I was warned. I knew better. So I'm accountable to some degree. And so I don't see why why that's not enough evidence that there was intent to deceive when she knew. In 2006, Australia's High Court, I said in 2006, Australia's High Court struck down the appeal, upholding the 2005 Victorian Court of Appeal ruling. Chief Justice Murray Gleeson, in a 94-page High Court ruling, opined, I don't know what that word means. Without doubt, the appellant's wife deceived him, but the hurtful deception was in her infidelity, not in her failure to admit it. It kind of seems like he's splitting hairs there, but whatever. Mr. Maggle, as part of the ruling, was also ordered to pay the child support agency's legal fees during the previous 18 months of litigation. Damn. So it's like he kind of won, but then he kind of didn't at the same time. It's like, well, all right. So look, okay. So he got the $70,000 compensation. The ruling was overturned, and then that was overturned. So he got his $70,000, but as part of the ruling, he was still ordered to pay the child support agency legal fees. So it's like, really, he didn't. Depending on how much that costs, legal fees can be expensive. The 2006 High Court ruling led to many calls from within Australia for reforms and changes to the Family Law Act and the Child Support Act to help protect men in Mr. Maggle's situation. By 2008, putative fathers in Australia could begin using DNA testing to confirm paternity regarding support orders after new changes. Section 143 of the Child Support Assessment Act took effect regarding family court policies. The Maggle case is often cited regarding new law reforms in Australia and is considered a landmark type case. So, big ups to Chief Justice Murray Gleeson for keeping it a buck. I mean, I do kind of feel like he wasn't 100% on the guy's side. The fact that he, not in her failure to admit, was like, okay, deception was infidelity, not in her failure to admit it. I can't agree with that. I think either way you look at it, it was a deception. Then on top of that, he was ordered to pay the child support agency's legal fees. Y'all not getting enough money through child support that y'all couldn't pay your own goddamn legal fees? And how much that shit cost? At $70,000, this dude probably got left with goddamn negative $20,000. The way these lawyers be just finessing the fuck out of people. But again, overall, this could be looked at as a victory, But so here's another one from Canada. Mr. Cornelio began paying child support for his ex-wife's twins after the couple separated in 1998. The former couple settled upon a joint custody agreement in 2002 that continued Mr. Cornelio's monetary child support for the twins. Shortly afterwards, Ms. Cornelio requested a reduction in visitation time along with an increase in support payments. So right there, she met a guy. That's when you get that paperwork, she want more money and you around less. She met somebody and he not trying to see you. She want to be with her new man and she want more of your money to compensate for you not, picking up the slack there with the kids. Mr. Cornelio became suspicious of the paternity of the twins. A little late there, buddy. A subsequent DNA test revealed that he was not their biological father. A request was made by Mr. Cornelio to be excused from paying further child support, claiming to be the victim of misrepresentation or fraud when Ms. Cornelio failed to disclose the extramarital affair when he signed the 2002 joint custody agreement. The Ontario Superior Court of Justice in 2008 ruled against the request to be excused or reimbursed for child support payments. Judge Van Rensburg, in deciding to deny the request, noted that Mr. Cornelio had wondered at the time of his separation if an affair by his ex-wife had actually been responsible for the twins. It was not until access was interrupted and Ms. Cornelio commenced proceedings seeking increased child support that the respondent began pursuing this issue. The judge remarked, the fact of that relationship, even if it has now become strained, is sufficient to require Cornelio to continue to contribute towards the children's material needs. AKA, fuck you, nigga. Raise them kids that ain't yours. So right here, you got like, this is what they think of you. This is what they think of you. So you come to me, nah, man, I can't do it. I ain't gonna ask for no DNA test. I love her. And then your ass end up looking like Mr. Cornelio. I'm telling you, they don't give a fuck. Listen to what this guy said, man. The fact of that relationship, even if it has now become strained, is sufficient to require Mr. Cornelio to continue to contribute to what the children's material needs. Just because you were in a relationship with her is not yours. Think about that shit, man. Like, bro, look at it like this. Let's say you were in a relationship with a girl, right? And y'all get a car together or something, and then y'all break up. You don't want the car no more. You wouldn't just let it go. But she like, nah, I'm keeping the car. So really the car now ain't yours. You technically let it go. It can go back to the shop, but you don't want it no more. But she keeping it. And then the court is like, nah, you got to keep paying on it. Because y'all were in a relationship together. It ain't yours now. But it was. And your name is on it. So you got to keep, like, that's what this shit is like. They don't give a fuck about you. Believe that. They don't care, dude. United Kingdom. We're going all across the globe on this shit. This some Street Fighter shit. Let me get a sip of this lemonade. Sugar-free. In the United Kingdom, paternity fraud, like adultery, is not a criminal offense. Except in the case of the lineage of the children of the British monarch under the Treason Act 1351, where the adulterers are punishable as adultering against the lineage of the king with the king's companion or the wife of the king's eldest son and heir. Right there. This is another example of fuck you, take care of them kids that ain't yours. Now, paternity fraud and adultery is not a criminal offense unless you are a part of the British monarchy. The elites. Oh, for us, the rules are different. We don't play that shit. We don't play that shit. Listen to this. We don't play that shit, you peons. Do y'all not see this shit? We are playing with two different rule books. We don't play that shit. That's what they telling us. I don't know what's wrong with y'all dumbass niggas, but we don't play that shit. God, open your eyes, nigga. They telling you, y'all dumb, you fucking sheep. We don't play that shit. We go by different rules. Cause we're not dumb. We run shit. We are the elite. I'm a goddamn king. But yo dumb ass out here, I don't want a DNA test. I'm scared. I'm scared what she gonna think. She gonna think I don't trust her. Meanwhile, the British monarchy like, hell no. I bet you they getting DNA tests. I bet you. Off the rip. No negotiation. The second that baby come out, papers start flying all over the place. DNA tested. Cotton swabs and shit. I gotta walk in with a big ass cotton swab. I'm telling you, bro. That shit got me passionate. I swear to God. Knowingly making a false statement on a public document is a criminal offense, including naming someone who is not the biological father. As of 2008, no individual has been prosecuted in a case involving paternity fraud. A mother is permitted to not state the name of the biological father if she does not know it. Paternity fraud is a form of misattributed paternity. So right here, look at this. Knowingly making a false statement on a public document is a criminal offense, including naming someone who is not the biological father. But when it comes down to it, who's actually signing the birth certificate? It's the guy. The guy is going to sign it. He's the one who's actually making a false statement unknowingly. So that right there doesn't even matter. It's the guy that's going to be signing it anyway. The split in 2002 between a couple identified for legal reasons as Mr. A and Mrs. B prompted Mr. A to pursue a paternal contract to establish his non-married rights as their child's father. Mrs. B then requested a DNA test that later showed Mr. A was not the then 5-year-old's father. Following the discovery, Mr. A then sued Ms. B for damages of up to 100,000 pounds as a result of the deceit. During 2007, in what was reported as the first known case of its kind to reach trial in Britain, the High Court ruled in favor of Mr. A, awarding 7,500 distress damages with another 14,943 for holidays and meals out Mr. A spent on Mrs. B, not the child. The judgment fell short of listed suit amount because the London court did not allow damages for the child's material costs incurred because of Mr. A's enjoyment of the relationship. The judge, Sir John Blofeld, said he was satisfied that Mr. A's motivation in coming to court was not as a lever for contact with the child, but because he did not want to be taken for a ride. In 2019, the unnamed former wife of Richard Mason was ordered to pay him $250,000 in compensation for paternity fraud. Mason discovered that he could not have fathered his 3 grown-up children after being diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, meaning he had been infertile since birth. So right here, you have 2 wins for the guys here. The first one is kind of half and half. You see, they awarded him some money for distress damages and holidays and meals spent on the woman. But he wasn't able to get any money as far as the child's material costs. So the judge basically said, well, you got to enjoy the relationship. So that's your payment for what cost you spent on the child, right? Oh, excuse me. So that's a half and half. He got some money, but he didn't really get a lot. And they were kind of like, they pulled the simp card a little bit here. You enjoyed the relationship, so you should pay some of the child's material costs. Like, we're not going to count that. So, but it's still kind of a half and half. But this one right here, unnamed former wife of Richard Mason was ordered to pay him 250,000 pounds in compensation for paternity fraud. So there you go. So United States. The United States has historically imposed a strong presumption of marital paternity and has also imposed barriers to paternity challenges once paternity has been legally established. Since the advent of DNA testing, laws and guidelines have been proposed to or enacted that may allow for a paternity challenge by a legal father who later determines he is not a child's biological father, or by a biological father who learns that somebody else has been named on a child's birth certificate as the child's father. So right there, we have another sign of we don't give a fuck about you, raise them kids. The United States has historically imposed a strong presumption of marital paternity and has also imposed barriers, walls, bricks, aka fuck you nigga, take care of them kids, to paternity challenges once paternity has been legally established. So, but even with that being said, you still have the initial advantage by simply getting a DNA test before you sign that birth certificate. So you got no one to blame. I know we going in on the laws and this thing. It would be one thing if they said DNA tests were illegal. Like if that was the case, burn it all down. burn it all down. Look, we're gonna have to do like a Million Man March shit. Like that would just be downright evil. That would be ludicrous. But you gotta understand that you have the initial advantage. You just have to make the right first move. Imagine you're playing chess or checkers or a fighting game, whatever, a game where there are inevitably going to be multiple moves made on both sides. You can guarantee victory as long as you make the right move. But after that, all bets are off. Like, just imagine you playing Street Fighter and you press one button and victory is inevitable. Like during the first second of the round, or before you even get hit, if you press square, you turn Super Ryu and he's invincible. Right? Or in chess, if you put this piece here as the first move, you can't lose. That's the situation that we're in. We can't lose. You can only defeat yourself. So I know we're going in on the laws and the government here, but really it's your own fault. You cannot lose. You just got to make the right first move and you're good. California. In the case of County of Los Angeles versus Navarro in 1996, the County of Los Angeles entered a default judgment against putative father Mr. Navarro and ordered him to pay monthly support for Ms. Doe's 2 children. The complaint to establish paternity filed by the Bureau of Family Support Operations was based on information provided by Ms. Doe named Emmanuel Nava as the children's father. The agency determined that Mr. Navarro was the father in question and delivered notice to his sister's residence listing Mr. Navarro as co-resident, a notice Mr. Navarro denied ever receiving. In 2001, Mr. Navarro, armed with a DNA test showing he was not the children's father, sued the County of Los Angeles, asking to be relieved from the support order. The County of Los Angeles opposed the motion, arguing the motion was filed after the 6-month limit to contest a default judgment, and the mother's mere assertion that he was the father was insufficient to establish an extrinsic fraud. The trial court sided with the county and denied the motion. This ruling was then appealed before the California Second Appellate, Court of Appeal. In 2004, the Court of Appeal reversed the trial court decision, ruling in favor of Mr. Navarro, and became the first published California case to hold that the statute of limitations did not apply in setting aside an old default judgment against a paternity fraud victim. Immediately after the ruling was issued, the Los Angeles County Child Support Services Department announced that it would request that the case be depublished so it could not be used as a precedent by other men in Mr. Navarro's situation. That request was later denied by the California Supreme Court. I repeat, immediately after the ruling was issued, the Los Angeles County Child Support Services Department announced that it would request that the case be depublished so it could not be used as a precedent by other men in Mr. Navarro's situation. They don't give a fuck about you. Now, at the very least, the silver lining here is that the request was later denied by the California Supreme Court. So that got shut down. But look at this. The Child Support Services Department wanted that case to be depublished just so it couldn't be used by men in the future for their benefit. If you ever get put on child support, that's what you're up against. They don't give a fuck about you. It's not about fairness. It's not about equality. It ain't about fun in the sun for the man. It ain't about men. It ain't about us. It's not. It's not about us, man. It's about them. It's about the woman, and to like a far, far extent, the kid. But let's face it, it's child support. It's the child support services finesse game, and their sidekick, the mother. In 2004, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger signed into law AB 252, which allows men who prove they are not the biological father more resources to fight paying child support. The law expired in 2007. So it's like, look, hey man, you can't say Arnold never did anything for us. He tried. The law expired in 2000. Oh God, that's just like, damn, I didn't even know that could happen. Laws expire. I know laws could be repealed and changed and taken away, but I didn't know they could expire. Shit. So it's like they gave him up. They're like, okay, we'll give you 3 years. After that, it's back to taking care of them kids, nigga. Okay, so going on, this is another article. I think this is talking more about the specifics of paternity tests. So the AABB, American Association of Blood Banks, which accredits DNA testing labs, released its findings about paternity testing in a landmark 1999 report. The report states that 30% of DNA paternity tests nationwide turn out negative. The tidal wave of outrage at this report's findings started out as a rather small ripple, but has grown bigger and bigger in the 17 years since, and with good reason. As more men have questioned paternity, they are finding that despite DNA evidence disproving a biological connection and that paternity fraud is recognized and handled as a criminal offense, the courts are not always willing to let these men off the financial hook, which we already talked about. So this is another statistic that says that, and this is pertaining to America. And I believe when we were looking at the statistics of paternity fraud earlier, none of the statistics were pertaining to America. We saw Mexico, United Kingdom, Switzerland, France, but we didn't see America. And this report states that 30% of DNA paternity tests nationwide turn out negative. But there is one important caveat that you gotta. There's one important thing you got to point out when talking about this specific report, right? When you're talking about paternity tests, you're typically talking about men who already don't trust the bitch. You're talking about guys who and again, just trying to be fair. Part of the reason why this number might seem so inflated is because a lot of these are guys who had reasonable doubt anyway. They had a reason to believe that the child was not theirs. And when they pushed forward for a DNA test, they were proven correct. So I wouldn't take this 30% DNA paternity test nationwide turn out negative statistic at face value. You have to keep in mind that a lot of these are guys who had reason to believe that they weren't the father anyway. Like, oh, I'm a white guy. Why is this child half black? Why is he light skinned? Shit like that. Like, why does this kid have a nappy ass head? Like, stuff like that, right? Either way, you should get a DNA test. I'm not saying you should never get a DNA test. I'm just saying that I just want to be fair. I think and I think it was mentioned earlier that, you know, statistics like these, you got to keep in mind that a lot of the participants are men who had reason to believe that they weren't the father anyway. So it might be a bit bloated. So what are the types of DNA paternity tests? If you're trying to prove or disprove paternity for legal reasons, the test must take place in a medical setting, a legal DNA paternity test. Otherwise, you can use an at-home DNA paternity test kit bought online or at a drugstore. How is a DNA paternity test performed? There are two equally accurate ways to test for paternity. Blood tests. The potential father and child give blood samples at a medical office. The facility sends the samples to a lab for analysis. Cheek swabs. The potential father and child swab the inside of their cheeks for buccal cheek cells. You mail the cotton swab applicators to a designated lab. If swabbing takes place in a medical setting, the office sends the samples to a lab. So, as they said, if you're trying to prove or disprove paternity for legal reasons, the test must take place in a medical setting. But you also have at-home DNA paternity tests. So this is what I would do. This is what I would suggest. You could do an at-home DNA paternity test. Like, this just depends on how careful you want to be. Like, if you want to kind of take it easy, right? Do an at-home DNA paternity test yourself. figure out if the kid is yours or not. If it's not, then you're gonna have to take it to a medical center to disprove paternity for legal reasons. But if you haven't even signed the birth certificate, then it's not even an issue. Like, just having the home kit should be enough. Like, bitch, it ain't mine. Look, if we take this shit to court, you gonna lose. You trying to waste our goddamn time and have me in a goddamn lab for no reason? Look, I caught your ass. It ain't mine. So that's what you could do is do the at-home DNA paternity test kit. And if it's not yours, then that again, if she's a reasonable woman, that should be enough. Like, okay, I got caught. That's it. It's over with. But if she pushes, then you're gonna have to still go to a lab, a medical setting to get the DNA test, to take it to court. But by that point, you've already won. It's just extra bullshit she's putting you through. But if you want to be extra thorough, then you could do it at a medical setting. Like, it seems like a home testing kit would be pretty accurate. I'm not questioning that. But I would probably be more comfortable with doing it in a medical setting. Just accounting for like human error, and I don't know. I would have to do more research. If I was to put my complete faith in a home kit, then I would have to do a lot of research, and get some testimonies and whatnot, so I can know, like, okay, I can rely on this. But if you want to be like light yagami careful, then do both regardless, right? So what does DNA paternity testing cost? An at-home DNA paternity test costs $60 to $200, including the cost of the kit. You'll pay more, up to $500, for a legal test in a medical setting. Health insurance doesn't cover these costs, of course. So the home DNA paternity test is pretty affordable. If you end up having to go to a lab, it's gonna cost you a finger. You know, for someone that's broke with no savings, maybe working like I'm assuming like a regular guy, right? A regular guy, you know, and man, this kind of speaks volumes a little bit though, as far as like my own environment. You know, a lot of these street guys get these hoes pregnant, these hood rats, and they end up paying child support and shit like that, and they don't get DNA tests. And I bet you a lot of these guys, they don't even know about at-home DNA paternity tests. Don't even know what the shit is. And if they wanted to go to a lab and contest something in court, they got to pay up to $500. And if you're a broke dude in the hood, you know, that's a finger right there, man. $500, goddamn. But whatever it costs, pay it. It's worth it. If you ever find yourself in that situation, you know, pay the cost. It's worth it. You know, $60 to $500 now is better than thousands and thousands of dollars over the course of 18 years, and all kinds of headache and distress. But yeah, man, that's it for the articles and whatnot. So in conclusion, but this is gonna sound like way left field, but my favorite rap group is Bone Thugs and Harmony, and I was a big fan, man. You know how kids are. Like, when we're fans, we're fans. I'm talking like, you know how we put like posters on the wall, we buy all the albums. I ain't have like the posters and shit, but I was buying the albums and shit. I was buying the good albums, the whack albums, all that shit. Man, I love Bone Thugs, man. And listening to their music, they would talk about situations like this. They would talk about like baby mama drama, like women accusing them of having their baby or whatever. They had a whole song. In fact, I forgot exactly what it was called. I think maybe it's called like "Not My Baby," and Crazy Bone did the hook. I think it was like "That Is Not My Baby" or something like that. But again, I was a big fan, and I kind of probed into like their personal lives as a fan, you know, as fans tend to do. And I found out like, man, like, these guys have all 4, 5, 6 kids, 7, 8 kids, and shit like that. I'm like, yo, at least like 2 or 3 of them anyway. But obviously these guys were paying like child support, like I definitely like crazy and busy. I'm not sure about the others, but being a fan of them and seeing that this is an issue that they went through, and not just looking at them, but looking at other guys going through that. That was one of the first things that made me not really feel bad about being a virgin. And that's one of the things that made me not feel bad about not pursuing women, because that was a trap that I never wanted to fall into. Just the thought of a woman having access to my money, my resources for 18 years, right? And whether the kid is mine or not, doesn't matter. Like it's either way, it's like damn, like that hurts my feelings, man. And not just looking at Bone Thugs and what they went through with their baby mama drama, but just even guys in my family, guys in my community. Stories I always hear about guys paying child support and stuff like that. Every now and then I might be like a little bit too deep in the hood around some hood rats. And when you hear these girls talk, man, when you hear these girls talk about the guys that they got pregnant by and like putting them on child support and shit like that, these girls are ruthless. These girls don't give a shit. These girls are heartless, man. Let me tell you, like once they done with you and they decide, you know what, I'm putting this guy on child support. Again, whether the kid is yours or not, these girls are heartless. Like once y'all have that big breakup and y'all split up and or whatever, then that's it, child support. And if y'all together, then it might not even be yours. And they're not gonna tell you because a lot of these girls, they hoes. But when it comes down to it, man, I'm just telling you, dude, if you ever get a girl pregnant, get a DNA test. I just do it. If I was in a situation, that's what I would do. If I ever get a girl pregnant, as crazy as that might sound, as much of an impossibility as that might be, I would get a DNA test. No questions asked. I don't care what she say. I don't care what she feel. I don't care how bad it hurt her feelings. I don't give a shit. I don't care. You're going to have to hurt today. You're going to have to cry. You're going to have to go in your room and ball up into a little ball and sob. Call your mama, call your daddy, call your girlfriend. You're going to have to swing at me, fight me, whatever you get it out of your system. Everything you need to do. I don't care if you got to strip down, go to McDonald's and just flail your arms around crying. Do what you get it out. Because it's coming. DNA test, DNA test, DNA test. I'm telling you guys, bro. I'm telling you. And it shouldn't even be that. It should be mandatory. It should be mandatory. The state should have an interest in correct paternity. Like before you sign this birth certificate, we need a DNA test to confirm the fatherhood. We need a DNA. We need that now. That's how it should be, but it's not. And it'll be so simple. And right there, the whole problem eradicated. And it's not about hurting a woman's feelings. It's about the simple fact that this is a serious issue. This is wrong. This is some evil, foul shit. And on top of that, it's something that we can prevent as men by simply making the decision to get a DNA test and not leaving it in the hands of anyone else. We handle our own business. We control our own destinies. And part of that is getting a DNA test, no matter how much you love and trust the women that you're with. You get the DNA test regardless, because that's the kind of man you should be anyway. All your I's should be dotted. That's it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Next, we're going to have a bit of OC, and then we're going to get to the thread of the day. And it's going to be pretty good. So stay tuned. Okay. I wasn't sure I was recording there. Never mind the noise. So, hope you guys enjoyed that OC. And now we're going to have a thread of the day. I know you guys missed it so much because the last episode did not have it. But now we're back. So, this is going to be a good one, man. We're going to get, we're going to get deep on this one. Okay, so here's the OP. It says, porn star Lana Rhodes wishes she never did it. So this was a video that came out where the porn star Lana Rhodes talked about her regrets as far as her participation in pornography. So I guess it's like a little podcast that she's a part of where she speaks with these other girls, and she got a bit emotional talking about it. And hold up, you're gonna hear a bit of extra like bassy noise here because I'm just doing something. Okay, we're good. All right, so yeah, this video was about Lana Rhodes, and her talking about her regrets as far as like her participation in pornography. So let's read the OC. She talks in, I said the OC, the OP. She talks in a video about all of the disgusting and disturbing things she was quote unquote forced to do, and that the porn industry is not what people think. Surprise, surprise. She says she is proud of who she is today, but that if she could she would take it all back and never have gone into porn. The main issue of the video is that she claims she is unable to find true love anymore. She says no man wants to have a serious loving relationship with her given her past. She says men only see her as an object and not a person, and she is scared she would die alone. She cries. Thoughts? So we're going to talk a bit more about the second part of that. Because as you would imagine, the people in this thread tore her to shreds, as only the robots or RNIK could do. But really, it's the first part that stands out to me. The way she says, if she could, she would take it all back and never have gone into porn. She says she is proud of who she is today, but that if she could, she would take it all back and never have gone into porn. And I was thinking about this today because I was thinking about this video and the different points I would talk about. And I look at what she's saying, right? If I could, I would take it back and never have gone into porn. But I'm really not so sure, because now I might be wrong, but from what I heard, Lana Rhodes is like a millionaire now. Like I think I could be wrong, but I think she's worth a couple million now. I saw a video that was talking about her net worth, and if it was correct, she's loaded. She's made a lot of money throughout her career as a sex worker. I'm sure the millions didn't just come from pornography. She probably did a lot of escorting and this and that and the third. If she is that wealthy, I don't know. It might have been capped, but that's what I heard. But when I look at girls like her and Mia Khalifa, who got into pornography, then they turn around and they regret it, I can't be very sympathetic to them, because the fact is they would never be in the situation that they are as far as their lifestyle, their living situation, their fame, their popularity. More than likely, they would have never achieved it if not for their participation in pornography and sex work. So, of course she says she's proud of who she is today, because she probably has a lot of money. She gets a load of attention. She has all these opportunities and avenues that have opened up for her as a result of her participation in pornography, as a result of being a porn star or an escort, whatever. I'm sure she's done plenty of sex work. But at the same time, she regrets it, because the reality is when you get into sex work, you're basically selling your soul. In a lot of ways, you're selling your soul. Like when you to have sex with someone that you don't want to have sex with. I mean, think about that even as a guy, right? Think of just the ugliest, most disgusting women you can think of. Or maybe even a man, right? Like, imagine just having to get buck broken for a fucking living. Right? And you're not into that shit. Like, and you might enjoy the money and what that opened up for you, but the acts that you had to commit to get that money is going to destroy your soul and it's going to fuck with your self-esteem. And that's why she broke down like that. Because even though she enjoys, again, she's proud of who she is today, aka she's pleased with where pornography has taken her and elevated her. Because it's not, and I might be reaching here, but I think when she says she's proud of who she is today, I don't think that's the case. I think she's happy with the position that she's in. She's happy with the position that pornography has allowed her to elevate to, but she's not happy about what it took for her to get there. And look at the picture. Look at that shame. Look at that humiliation. Like, I'm here for you all to see. Here I am, wealthy, popular, desired, beautiful, but you also know how I got here. You know I sucked so much dick to get here. I had all kind of dicks in my ass. I got fucked by all kind of sleazeballs and scumbags and drug addicts. You guys don't know the discomforts that I felt on these porn shoots. The things I've been through. I smiled through it. I pretended to be turned on and having an orgasm, but I was so uncomfortable. God damn, this nigga is so ugly. His breath stink. I can't stand this motherfucker. He fucking the shit. Like, this is what they go through. That shit is so destroying, bro. For a lot, now some of them, I also believe some of them are true nymphomaniacs and don't give one fuck. They nasty as fuck. They true succubuses. But a lot of these girls are really just normal girls, and then they just put themselves through the ringer. But let's move on before I get too deep on this shit. Okay, so this guy says, she says no man wants to have a serious loving relationship with her given her past. And they have every right not to want a relationship with her. Did she think no one would care? Could she not see that far into the future after her porn career was over and think about the lasting effects it would have on her life? If she thought she could just do it and not have any repercussions, then she deserves this. And that's something that I always wonder is like, do these girls like not... I still wonder what is it that makes women get into pornography the way that they do. I mean, I guess it makes sense because obviously it's the money, the attention, the fame. It's really like, it's similar to why men start selling drugs and getting involved in criminal activity. It's like, it's a quick way to make a lot of easy money or easy-ish money. Really, drug dealing is a lot more difficult, way more difficult and risky than doing porn. And guys will line up in droves to do that. So we really should be surprised at the number of women that decide to get into sex work, whether it be pornography, escorting, OnlyFans, or what have you. But still, to some degree, it still surprises me. Like, just when because I like porn. You guys know I'm a coomer, and just the revolving door of fresh talent, just all these new 18, 19, 20, 21 year olds that pop up every year. It's endless. It's endless, and it still surprises me. There are so many women in the world willing to put themselves in this type of situation. And again, I don't mean to shame them. I've never been one for slut shaming. You know, I find promiscuous behavior to be unattractive, but I don't shame sluts. If you want to be promiscuous, whatever, I really don't give a fuck. I just don't find it attractive. And I think there are certain downsides to their lifestyle. But I don't really judge them like that. I really just don't give a fuck. But porn in particular is just such a sketchy world. It's such a sketchy world. Like, and you got these few guys who just get to fuck all these women. And some of these guys are, I mean, let's face it, some of these guys are drug addicts, they're scumbags, they're abusive, and women just sign up to get fucked by these dudes and shoot for these companies and shit. And then you can find girls giving like negative stories and their negative experiences about working with various companies, actors and whatnot, regretting getting into porn, but women still do it. This guy says, just imagine being her child. If she has a daughter, she would have to go down the same road just because of her association to her mother. If she has a son, he would get harassed by his classmates nonstop about her mother being a porn star. Both of them would probably off themselves in the long run. Such a shitty life. This is something we always talked about. What happens when these girls end up having kids, and then like how they deal with being a child of a female porn star. And you know what? That's actually something that would be very interesting to do an episode on, like to do research on. But one, look, enough time has passed. Like, we've seen so many porn chicks come and go. How many of you, like, and really, here's the thing: when you see these women disappear, these porn chicks disappear off the face of the earth, a lot of the times it's because they got married or they had kids or both. That's really what it is, and then they completely disappear. Like, dude, how, like, where is Gianna Michaels now? Right? Where is Jasmine Cashmere? Where is Jada Fire? Where is Isla Fox? Where are these girls? Like, I'm pretty sure most of these girls you probably could not find, because they get into porn, they make their money, they get the fuck out. And so to some extent, I think that this whole idea of, oh, your mom was a porn star and it's going to come back to haunt you, I think it's a bit overblown. I think a lot of these women are going to successfully just exit the business, and people aren't really just not going to be able to find them. They're gonna go off the grid, not literally, but it's going to be difficult to find them once they even do start having children. And I think that they're going to make a concentrated effort to avoid that from happening anyway, because if not, all the porn stars from like a generation or two ago, if it was really that serious, then we would be seeing it right now. Like, okay, this is her son, this is her daughter, they go to this school, and okay, let's send videos to. You don't see that shit a lot. You really don't, but you should, because enough time has passed to where these, porn stars of old have retired and they got kids who are like teenagers or adults. And so I think that's a bit overblown. But also it's a different time too. I think now our digital footprint is a bit more dug into the ground, so to speak. If you were a porn star of 2005 or 2006, 7, 8, especially a porn star of the 90s, then you probably don't have a very big digital footprint. Right, because that's the time before social media, everyone having a Facebook, a Twitter, Instagram. But now it's different. These porn stars now, they're very much of our generation of being very, very much involved with social media. They have Twitter, they have Instagram, they have Facebook, they have these things. And then if you really want to know, you can put the pieces together and say, okay, well, she came from here, this state, and she went to school here, and this is her mom, this is her father. Like, now you can do that. So I think maybe going into the future, we might see more incidences of like, okay, your mom was a porn star. But again, I think it still remains to be seen, because if it was really that serious, I think we would see it a lot more. So this person says, I am so sick of this caring about the woman's past bullshit. But she's defiled. Grow the fuck up. If she's ready to settle down and the spark is there, why not give it a chance? Too insecure? Fucking ridiculous. Now, I have a good inkling that this might have been a troll. But if it was, then very successful. I mean, look at those replies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and probably more. If I didn't cut the thread out prematurely. Whenever I see posts like these that are like, where it's a good chance that it might be a troll and people just keep replying, even if I want to reply, I'm not going to do it. Because every reply is just going to feed them. Like, I got those suckers. But, as I've said before, when it comes down to troll posts like these, some people really think like this. And so, it's always worth even addressing a point like this. So, he says, I am so sick of this caring about the woman's past bullshit. I mean, just the idea that a woman's past or a man's past, for that matter, isn't important is crazy to me. And this isn't just a knock against women. I think whether you're talking about men or women, your past matters. The past is very important. You know, I think back to my mom's relationship with Dennis, who I talked about on the previous episode of the Botcast, and how she told me about how he had laced her blunt with coke, how he went to prison for stealing. That's his past. That's the past. And a logical person would have saw that and said, there's a lot of red flags. I'm not going to marry this man. That's why the past matters. That's why caring about a woman's past is not bullshit, you know. And some might say, well, it's just sex, but I simply don't agree. And I've been thinking about it myself, because I always say that, and I might have explained this before, and I'll explain it again. But the reason why I wouldn't want to date a porn star or a sex worker is because these are women who have already demonstrated that they are willing to make a career, well, I'll put that in quotes, a career or lifestyle out of getting resources and money out of men in exchange for sex. And so I'm supposed to just believe that, oh, I'm different, right? Because I have the title of boyfriend or husband. No, I'm different. Like, when she's with me, that whole, okay, I use my body to get money out of men, it just turns off, and now it's real love. I'm not buying that. I'm simply not buying that. Now, I know every porn star isn't like that. I know there are porn stars, male and female, who have healthy, great relationships, you know. I'm sure that's the case. But still, when you're talking about probabilities, why would you take a bad risk like that? Why would you take that risk when there are plenty of girls who aren't involved in sex work and you don't have to worry about that as much, you know? And then on top of that, it's just, again, like the previous guy said, what about the kids? Like, do you really want to put your child in a situation where their mother's new body, not just her new body, but videos of her licking toilets, getting fucked in the ass, at glory holes, swallowing the semen of 20 different men? That's who you want to be the mother of your child? That's who you want to be the mother of your child? I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So, how did I do this? Oh, I think he was, okay, so he was replying to, okay, I got it. So these are two posts in one. This guy says, she was probably, he was responding to someone who said, did she think no one would care? And then he says, she was probably young and hot when she decided to go into porn. Think about it. Most young, hot girls have almost no idea how people function or how they really think. Nobody sits there telling young, hot girls this kind of shit. They're just used to everybody loving them and trying to please them. I can't imagine she spent any real time thinking about the consequences of her actions. And I can't imagine any guy telling her, no, I'd never have a relationship with a whore. And then this guy responds to him and says, I'm pretty sure girls are told guys don't want to date whores from at least puberty onward. So I think both of these guys have a good point. Like the way this first guy says, I can't imagine any guy telling her no, I never have a relationship with a whore. Now see, the second guy is kind of arguing against that, but really look at the state of the world now. Look at the backlash against guys like Kevin Samuels and these various red pillars who talk about stuff like this. Why? Oh, we don't like whores. Men don't like whores. We don't want to. We'll fuck you, but we don't want to date you, and all that. And how women take offense to that, right? Like, and how many men outside of the red pill are really talking about stuff like this, like up front with women to their face? We might talk about this shit behind closed doors, but how often do we talk about this to women's faces? How often do we have this conversation with hoes and say, no, like, really think about that shit. How many guys sit there with their hoe and say, well, yeah, I'll fuck you, but I'll never marry a chick like you because you a hoe? So I think to some degree, that first guy is kind of right, because it's like people, like now we talk about it, especially within like red pill and these various internet communities, and you got these standout guys like Kevin Samuels, AMS and whatnot, who speak about these issues, Fresh and Fit Club and whatnot. I said Fresh and Fit Club. Is that what it's called? Oh no, it's the Fresh and Fit Podcast. I said the Fresh and Fit Club. But yeah, like spaces like these, we talk about this kind of stuff. But I think in general, like out in like normie space, you don't really like it's implied. And that's why I think the second guy kind of has a point too. To some degree, it's like it's in the air. It's there, but it's not explicitly said. It's not. Think about it. The father, the mother, they don't sit these girls down and say, Sally, guys don't want to marry whores. Don't be a whore. They don't really talk about it that explicitly. Of course, they don't want their daughter to be a whore. Of course, they take measures to educate their daughters on the dangers of sexual promiscuity and dealing with scumbag dudes. But how many of them explicitly lay out, hey, if you're a whore, men are not going to want to marry you. It's going to hurt your prospects of finding a serious relationship. I don't think a lot of parents have that conversation. So this guy says, your wife was a porn star and anyone in the world can go on the internet and watch her get piped. One of the most private aspects of a relationship, sex, is made completely public because everyone knows exactly what she got and you're getting from her. And then, so, all right. I think he was saying all of this. I think this quote or the agreeing text was also his thoughts. I'll assume that. There would be no intimacy in this relationship. It could still all work if the guy didn't care about sex or intimacy. But at that point, without those two things, it's basically just a normal friendship and nothing more. And this makes me think about something that Coach Greg Adams says. CGA. If you guys haven't seen his channel, definitely check it out. He's one of my favorite like red pill guys. But he talked about this to some extent, how these women now are just so desensitized. Man, he had me bugging the other day, bro. He was talking about, man, these girls done lapped up this and slurped up that. I was fucking bugging, dude. But for real, like, this is a great point. When you're dealing with a woman who has involved herself in sex work, bro, how the fuck can you surprise her with anything? How can you have anything special in the bedroom? She's done everything. She's done things that you can't even do or want to do. She's seen everything. She's smelt everything. She's felt everything. She's tasted every inch of a man's body. She's had her tongue up several men's assholes. She knows the flavor of dozens of men's semen. She's felt small dicks, medium large dicks, monster dicks. Strap on. She's been with women, black men, white men, Asian men, gangbangs. 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, 2 guys and a girl, 2 girls and a guy. She's done it in public. She's done it in a dungeon. She's done it on a film set. She's done it in a hotel. Glory holes. And you, one average man, is supposed to bring something new to the table. What can you possibly do? I was watching, there's a YouTube channel called AML Films. I like his channel. He does these videos where he interviews drug addicts, typically drug addicts who are addicted to like fentanyl, crack, heroin, and they just give their life story and whatnot. You know, it's kind of interesting, like seeing that side of the tracks and hearing their testimonies and whatnot. But there was one girl I was watching on his channel. She was doing, you know, the typical interview. And like most street girls who are addicted to drugs, she sells her body. She's a sex worker. And one thing that she said stood out to me. She said that one of the problems with being in a relationship as a girl like herself, who, you know, sells her body, is that after a long day of having sex with men for money, when she finally gets home with her boyfriend, she's not in the mood for sex, right? Think about that. Now, she been in the streets selling pussy all day. He been doing whatever he do to get money. They meet up at night. He trying to fuck, but she been fucked all day. And she's just not in the mood. And what kind of sex are you going to get from her after a day of being fucked by a bunch of guys? She's like, and see, that's what I'm saying though. It's like, that's part of the problem with dating a sex worker. And this is the part that really people don't talk about. How it desensitizes the woman. And it's going to make it harder for you as a man to really excite her. And we know how much women crave excitement and new experiences and thrills. And what can you do as an average man with your little 5-inch dick and your 3 body count? You fuck a fat bitch in high school, a chubby girl when you were in your early 20s, and now you got this bitch. You supposed to somehow just miraculously pull some magic trick out of your goddamn pants that's gonna blow her mind. Goddamn, man. So this guy says, this is so ridiculous. The one on the left first talks about how women shouldn't be seen as sex objects, and soon afterwards recounts her time at Hooters and how she gave her panties to a rando for $100 and complains he asked for more afterwards. What did you expect? How do you want to not be seen as a sex object when you're playing into it for the promise of a little cash? And so this is one of those situations where you see women kind of contradict themselves. You know, they want the good without the bad. They don't want to be seen, like they want to live the life of a sex object, but they don't want to be seen as a sex object. And again, to their credit, you are more than that. You are more than the sum of your holes. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, these are real people. They have interests outside of sucking dick and getting fucked for money. Like, they aren't just sex objects. But the world isn't fair. Sometimes we do just get summed up to like a few traits. Like just a few things that we have done, or we get summed up to our career or our lifestyle, you know? If you play football, you're a football player. You know, if you gay, you that gay guy. If you a chef, you're a chef. You shit. If you're known for selling drugs, then it's like, oh, that's the drug dealer. That's a trap dude. if you rap, hey, you're a rapper. And if you are a sex worker, prostitute, escort, that's how people are going to see you. They're going to see you as a sex object. It's unfortunate, but it's just the way that it is. Oftentimes, we become seen as whatever trait that we have that stands out the most. It's just the way that it is. So this post says the problem is people don't realize that yes, this person is an object on camera, but it's just their job, not their entire life. They are a human being and a person off camera. Surprisingly, I'm inclined to agree with her on some points. And even that I can agree with myself. This is a human being. This is a person. But like I said previously, unfortunately, it's just the way that life is. Sometimes we just get put into a box as one or two, the one or two things about us that stand out the most. And inevitably, if you are a woman and you get involved in sex work, you are going to be seen as that. You're going to be seen as a hoe. You're going to be seen as a slut. You're going to be seen as a sexual object because that is how you present yourself to the world. You're not known for playing the fucking piano. You're not known for some great scientific discovery. You're known for sucking black dick. We know your name because you sucked a lot of dick and did it well. Lana Rhodes, I'm about to get it twisted. Lana Rhodes, sex object. Kevin Durant, NBA player. Again, we're known according to what we do that stands out the most about us. So this person says, and what's the solution? We have young girls who are easy to manipulate in the porn industry who is willing to pressure these girls. Regulate the porn companies to not manipulate girls. Good luck with that. Ban violent porn. Also hard to do since it's just acting. They're adults and look how much money we'll lose now. So what is the solution? I think the solution begins with the decision to get into pornography to begin with. As I always say, and as I'm sure you guys know, I'm a coomer. I like porn. I'm not one of these guys that's like, burn down the porn industry. I don't give a fuck. I like seeing sex. I like seeing people fuck. So I like porn. So certainly that's not a solution that I'm gonna bring to the table. But obviously, some people get involved in pornography, and some people get involved in pornography and they regret it, right? I mean, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, right? I don't drink alcohol. I look at the facts. I look at what it does to people. So I don't drink. I made that decision for myself not to drink. I don't think it would be worth it. But at the same time, I'm not like, okay, let's ban alcohol. Let's bring back prohibition. I say, let the people choose. You want to take the risk of introducing alcohol to your life, then you're free to do that. I look at pornography the same way. If you want to take that risk to get into that world, then shit. I want it to be there for those people, right? So that's why I don't look at that as a possible solution, but that's just me. And here's another thing. He says, regulate the porn companies to not manipulate girls. This is what pisses me off so much about this argument. People always talk about it from the perspective of the girls. Do you not realize that it's guys who are in these videos too? Do you not realize that it's guys, like it's a guy right there fucking her? What about his pain? What about his sorrow? What about him being seen as a sex object? We don't talk about that. What about his discomfort on the set? What about what he goes through? We look at everything from the perspective of the female. And not only that, now you can make the argument, getting fucked is a lot more toll on your body than fucking. Okay, I'll give you that. But what about gay porn? What about transsexual porn or whatever? What about, like, it's plenty of dudes out here getting deep dick down their throat. It's plenty of butt breaking porn. out there. Believe me, there's plenty of dudes out there getting their asshole destroyed just like these girls are. So when people talk about this shit, it's like they always talk about it from the female perspective. Like, again, men, we just don't matter. There's plenty of guys out there getting fucked, getting throat fucked, getting gang banged, slurping up, slapping up, just like Lana Rhodes. Going through the same shit, if not worse. But we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that shit. Everything is all about, the poor women that chose to participate in porn. Goddamn. Like, I'm open to this discussion. I'm just tired of it only pertaining to women. Like, men are not involved in this at all. Like men don't suffer the discomforts as well. Like, men aren't getting fucked in this whole situation too. And then he also brings up ban violent porn, but like he says, it's just acting. There are those, and then you have some women who are just legitimately into it. But I think that it's when you're talking about the violent porn, the gonzo stuff, the more filthy porn, especially like facial abuse, right? I like watching facial abuse because I like seeing like the reaction of the girl, like whether they can handle it or not. And let me tell you, man, some of those girls, they take it like a champ, but a lot of them can't. A lot of times some of those shoots got to get ended early because the girl just can't handle it. But what you got to understand is that it's a thin line between, I love rough sex and, oh wait, I'm too uncomfortable, I need you to stop. It's a thin line. It's a thin line. And so you can't really attack this kind of porn because women themselves are going to defend it. There are a lot of women who are into S&M, sadomasochistic stuff and bondage, and they'll defend it. I'm sure someone like Proxy Page or Sasha Grey, those type of girls, Mandy Muse, they'll defend this type of shit. Skin Diamond, like those true succubuses from the depths of hell, they will defend that shit. And so that's gonna make it a problem to ban that kind of stuff, because some women, they legitimately like it. It's just that when you put yourself in that position, that submissive position, you put yourself in a position to be made uncomfortable. And that might have been what happened to Lana. She was on the set. Okay, it's gonna be this rough and this and that, and then she's in it, and it ends up being just a bit rougher than she wanted, and now she's uncomfortable. Now she's holding back tears. Now she's in the shower like Griffith was after he got fucked by the king dude. Like, oh God, like that's how it goes down. Okay, so this guy says, once a whore, always a whore, even if it's a man. Maybe I'm being naive, but I do believe people can change. I've been talking to a man the last couple of days. He used to be a whore. I'm assuming this is a girl talking. Not a porn star would just get with random girls, but he quit because he said it made him feel empty. He said he fucked them because he had low self-esteem, but now because he was a whore, he hates looking at his own body and how it's been used. This guy kind of sounds like a pussy. I gotta be honest. Like, goddamn. I expect a woman to feel that way, but a guy, I mean, look, and don't get me wrong, I get it. Men regret sex too, but this guy, he sound like he been fucked by dudes or something. Like, damn, like, I hate looking at my body because I fucked a couple fat chicks. Come on, bro. He is 19. What do you A9s think? Can he change, or is he just another worthless whore even if he quit? I know it's a lot different than being a porn star, but this thread brought it up to mind, and it's something I've been thinking on. I do believe people can change. I believe people can change, but the thing about it, whether you're the person that's trying to change or you're the other person who's dating or maybe considering getting involved with this person who's considering change, it's your decision whether you want to take that risk or not. People can change, but ultimately it's up to that person whether they're serious about that change. But looking at it from the perspective of the person who might be considering dating this reformed whore, I don't think it's unreasonable to say no. and look elsewhere, regardless of your gender, whether you're a woman and you're skeptical about dating a man who had a whorish past, or you're a man who's skeptical about dating a woman who was a whore in her past. Really is your choice, but I don't think there's any problem with saying no, because it's a big red flag, and it's easy to talk about change. Implementing and sticking to that change is a whole other thing entirely, and you got to pay the cost for your actions. You got to pay the piper, man. You know, if you made what you believe to be a mistake, and you know how people are going to perceive you because of what you did, you got to live with that. You can't be upset with people who say, you know what, I don't want to date you because of your past, because that's fair. They have reason to believe that they cannot trust you, or that you are going to in the future behave in such a way that's going to be detrimental to their lifestyle and their well-being. It's no different than if you're a girl and you meet a guy and you find out he just got out of prison. He's like, I'm a changed man. I'm out now. I ain't about to do nothing. I'm going straight. You can't blame her when she says I'm good. You can't, because a lot of guys tell that story. I just got out, about to change. A year later, he locked up again. I mean, I've seen it firsthand with my mom and her husband. God, so many damn times Dennis said I was went to rehab. Oh, I'm clean now. I quit. Take me back. I've seen it. I've seen it happen again and again and again. And it's kind of a different thing when you're talking about drugs versus being a whore, but still, it's very similar. It's easy to talk about change, but it's not always easy to stick to it. And so you got to make that decision when you're selecting who you want to be with, that, are you just going to look past it and give them a chance? It's your choice, but I know myself, I wouldn't take a lot of risk in that department, but that's just me. Not that I'm perfect myself, but at the same time, a girl might look at me and say, well, you ain't had no job for X amount of years and no car, and you did this and whatever. You were in a mental hospital, right? Like, okay. And she would say, well, I don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to take it personally. I get it. I get it. I understand. So this person says, why don't women date me though I have a track history of being a disgusting piece of shit? Oh, this porn star with the track history of being a disgusting piece of shit can't find a man? Fuck her. Her robots are so predictable. Now this one might have actually been a legit girl, young girl, I might add. But I always say this because I see this argument too when it's like somebody who has a past themselves talk about not wanting to date someone who also has a past. And I always say this: 2 wrongs don't make a right. 2 wrongs do not make a right. I simply just don't believe in this idea of well, I'm fat, so I can only date a fat chick. I'm poor, so I can only date a poor chick. I'm ugly, so I can only date an ugly person. I was a whore, so I can only date whores. Look, you get what you can get. I'm not saying that the fat guy is going to get the supermodel, right? But I'm just saying I don't believe in this idea that you got to say, okay, well, I got to date someone who's equal to me in every single way, and I can't go for something that's better than I am. I simply just don't buy into that. And certainly women don't. So I don't see why the hell we should. Again, if you can pull it off, right? If you're a girl and you were a hoe and you can find a guy who can look past that and still wipe you up, then fuck it. I'm not going to complain about that shit. And vice versa. If you're a robot who had a history of being a disgusting piece of shit and you want to date a porn star who was whatever. To me, that totally makes sense, because another thing you got to think about is you might be a piece of shit. You might be low value. You might have made mistakes. And it's one thing for you to deal with who you are and your shortcomings. It's another thing to take on the baggage and shortcomings of another individual. that's a recipe for disaster. At least by yourself, you can build yourself up into something better. And not only that, you have the control. You have the willpower. You're in the driver's seat there. You're in the cockpit. You can't control a man or a woman that you're dating and say, well, I'm going to need you to stop smoking crack. I'm going to need you to stop being a hoe. You can say it, but at the end of the day, it's their choice. And to just simply involve yourself with these kind of people because you might have made the same mistake. Like, okay, well, I'm a drug addict, so I'm only date other drug addicts. Again, I just don't think that's wise. I don't think that's a good idea. Look, if you can get someone that's above you, I don't even like to speak like that, but then so be it, you know? But I don't think being a robot or a loser or weirdo means you got to accept any sort of trash as your partner. And vice versa, I don't think being a hoe or a sex worker or a promiscuous woman or whatever means you have to accept a trash as your partner either. You know, better yourself and get something better, or just take someone who's better who will take you like as you are. So this guy says, well, I feel bad for her. Porn is trash. I say that as someone who watches it, but with regular post-nut regret. Of course, she did choose to do it, but who among us is making great life choices at age 18? And if you were born a woman and could make massive amounts of money at that age having sex, can you be certain you would say no? If I were born a woman, I wouldn't be as, again, goddamn. If I were born a woman, I would think like a woman. And ultimately, that's the problem. And that's why I wouldn't want to be a woman under any circumstances. You know, because men we tend to be more logical and women tend to be more emotional and things like that. And what drives us and our desires are different. And I think that's why, and especially now, whoa. So yeah, if I was a woman, I'd probably, maybe I would, right? But that wouldn't make it any better. That wouldn't make it any less problematic. Whether I would do it or not, if I was in her shoes, doesn't matter. Either way, it's not, you know, it wouldn't be a good idea. At least in my eyes, it's not a fate I would want. But I wouldn't want to be a woman either way. But I think he does make a good point, because I've always talked about this and how I think that it's all too easy for us as men to judge women for being promiscuous, for becoming teenage mothers and ended up just mismanaging their vagina and falling into all kind of traps when it comes to sexual activity. Because you have to understand that women live in a very different world from us, especially decent looking women to hot women, attractive women, the cute girls, the pretty girls, gorgeous, beautiful, whatever. Decent looking and above women live in a different world than we do. They have to deal with so much temptation, so much sexual temptation, so much more than we do, you know. Some men are privileged or cursed, depending on how you look at it, you know, enough to have that kind of temptation, to have women throwing themselves at them. And where I'm from, typically those are the guys who, you know, they're going to have kids young, 16, 17, 18, right? But this is something that most decent, I always got to throw that in there, decent looking women have to deal with, you know. Not only do you have a massive amount of options, men are taught to pursue you, to chase you. Men are taught to be relentless in their pursuit of the vagina. They're just so persistent in trying to get laid as young men. And then on top of that, we have testosterone fueling that programming, fueling those desires. And that's what women have to deal with. Not only that, because of the fact that women tend to date up and men will date up, across, down, around. It gives women access to men who would in some way could be considered out of their league. Something that, again, we as men never have to deal with. You know, imagine 14-year-old you, 15, 16, and the hot chick is on your dick, begging for it, grabbing your dick. Like, I want to take you out. Be my boyfriend. Like, imagine, and not just her, but the hot chick. Four of the cute girls, the Asian. Like, think back to all those girls that you were attracted to back in high school. And now just imagine, like, even if like 10 to 20% of them like you back and were persistent about it. That's what women have to deal with. Women have to deal with a lot of sexual temptation at an age when their brains haven't even fully developed. Our brains don't fully develop until we're 25. And women are dealing with this from the time they're like, 13, 14? Like, that's when it really starts. And then it gets hot and heavy around 15, 16. And 18, 19 is like all bets are off because now you're legal. Now the adults, the grown men, the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, they can put their hat in the race too. You're being offered money, all kind of resources and gifts, trips, dates. Your body is worth its weight in diamonds and gold. Women have to deal with a lot of temptation. And that's something that I've always understood. I mean, when it comes down to it, look, bitch, you still gotta face the consequences of your actions. When it comes down to it, people not gonna care. You know, I'll give you some sympathy because I've always thought about that. You know, in a way, the blessing of being a man, and a lot of guys won't look at it like that. But I think part of the blessing of being a man is that it's so easy to stay a virgin. It's so easy as a man to stay a virgin. If you can drown out the peer pressure and think for yourself, all you got to do is mind your own business and you can stay a virgin. Because girls, even, you know, unless you're just famous, wealthy, super attractive, they're not going to cross that line with you. You're going to get a couple ugly, busted bitches. I've had a couple of them cross that line. And you guys know how I handle that. But for the most part, as men, we don't have to deal with that kind of temptation. You know, and when I think back to when I was that age, I don't know if I could have always made the right decision myself. Now, as far as like getting involved in sex work, I never really looked at that as like an option as a man, right? Because we don't have the same options there as women. So, but even in terms of just sexual options, right? I couldn't imagine just having cute girls and pretty girls just throwing pussy at me. Really, I would not be a virgin right now. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. I would not be a virgin if the girls that I like were just throwing me pussy and it didn't seem like and everything else checked out. Yeah. So that's why I am somewhat sympathetic there. But at the same time, you know, you gotta live with it. You gotta live with your actions. You know, when it comes down to it, you were 18, you were legally an adult, and you made that decision, and now you got to live with it. But one more point that I got to touch on before I move on is how she's complaining about guys not wanting to date her or whatever, which is absolute cap. That is bullshit. That's bullshit. And I forgot to get a post that pointed this out, but let's just address this really quick. When she says that, obviously we know that she has legions of simps and betas and even average guys who would gladly put a ring on it. She has no problem getting a relationship, finding a boyfriend, getting married. Her problem is that she's trying to get a high value male. Has Kevin Samuels copyrighted that yet? Can I still say high value? Can we still say high value male? I kind of hate how big the red pill shit is getting, because like now guys are claiming lingo and terms, and you gotta come up with your own shit. But yeah, I mean, dude, let's face it. Like, she's not complaining about not being able to get an average Joe. Her standards are high. You gotta imagine her standards are through the roof. When she says that she's having trouble finding a relationship, she cannot get a relationship from the guys that she wants. The high value guy. She's gonna need a guy who's wealthy, attractive, got a big enough dick to satisfy her after all the shit her vagina been through. Her standards are probably really high. And you gotta think about, dude, think about the experiences she's had as a result of her sex work. The things and experiences that she has been treated to, the places she's gone, the trips and the dates and the gifts. Her standards are going to be astronomical as far as like what she even considers to be a eligible partner, like a serious relationship. And see, what you notice is that, and what we've always talked about is that as women begin aiming upward towards these men of higher value, these guys have a lot of options just like they do. So the men that she wants, they don't look at her like she's special, because she's not. She's only special to lower level men like us. And even and really even us, we don't like really. I gotta be honest. Like, now look, I don't know what I would do if she was in my DMs. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't wanna I don't wanna go there. But based off of what I feel now, honestly, I wouldn't even want to touch a girl like that, bruh. And that's no offense. I'm sure she feel the same way about my broke, dusty ass. But I'm just saying, I don't care how hot or attractive a girl is. When she is a sex worker, to me, that is very unattractive. So even like low level guys like myself would look at her and say, I'll pass. So you know the guys that she's looking at, the men of higher value, are like, nah, bro. Like, I'm not trying to wife you up. I'll fuck. I'll drop a bag on you for some of that shit that I saw you doing them flicks. But that's about it. But that's it for the thread of the day. I'm not gonna go much more in on that. Next, we're gonna have some OC and then the comments, and then we're gonna get out of here. So you guys stay tuned in to the Botcast, and I will return. da 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 da. Da 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 da. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. And now we're going to do the comments of the day or episode, whatever. Okay, so hold on. I'm going to bump the mic a little bit here. Okay, let's get right into it. So, New World Disorder says on the Nightwalk vlog, episode 4, Life as a 28-year-old virgin video, I wish I had your positive mentality about it. I would slaughter a famished village for such positivity in my mind. Edit update. This video planted the seeds to break myself out of that mindset. I deleted anything related to crushes and one-nightises from my phone and all clouds. Forgot about them, and now I feel like a caged eagle set free. Go! Now you know how I feel. Fuck them hoes. Oh man, but yeah, man, I have developed quite a bit of positive energy within this vessel that I occupy. You know, I try to share my wisdom as much as I can, and you know, it's not always great. I get down, I get bummed out, just like most other people. But I gotta admit, man, lately I've been riding a high. I've been riding a nice steady high, really for like the past couple of years, and I've hit I've dipped. I've dipped, but now it don't last long, you know? I dipped for like maybe a few days, and even then those just look like during those periods, I'm just like masturbating and eating a lot and watching a lot of YouTube videos, sleeping too much. Then that gets boring, and I'm like, okay, let's get back up. So, but yeah, man, I've been riding a nice little positivity high right now, and I'm gonna try to maintain it to the best of my abilities, man. But I'm glad you picked up something of value from that, man. I think that it's important to unplug yourself from that, you know, all the crushing and the one night is seeing, you know, it's not doing us any good. That stuff doesn't do us any good. You know, that's a losing battle for us. These girls got too many goddamn options, and we are nothing in their eyes. Thanks for that comment. So Mammoth Plant says on the Sickness video, my adventure is so bizarre. Is that? Yes, it's a JoJo reference. Thanks for that comment. I got a whole like kind of JoJo inspired song coming up too, so you guys stay aware for that. So this was on I did a little. It was on the video stream when I was playing Dragon Ball Kakarot. So Flim says, man, I wish I was there. Anyways, I skimmed through it and I saw you got further in Sonic 2. Jolly good. The rage bit was top kick. Glad to see you're going to see it through though. Also, how the fuck is that a helicopter? So this was back when I was playing Sonic 2. So obviously these comments are a bit dated. Sometimes I just grab them and just throw them in like future folders for episodes. That's why some of these are kind of old, but whatever. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that. The whole Sonic 2 thing was very fun. I love going through that game. It's nice to have that under my belt. It was a nice, worthwhile experience to play a classic game like that. That was one of my favorite little video game videos I did for the channel. And I did a bit of Sonic 1, but I'm thinking about switching gears a little bit because I don't think I'm really ready for that right now. So I'm probably we talked about it, and I'm gonna be doing Metal Slug next, and that's gonna be easier because I think the Metal Slug collection has free play, which means no live. So thanks for that comment. Flim says on the Keiko song, you should write a more normie friendly song and become a mad singer on one of those talent shows. Even though the song is somewhat tongue in cheek, it really has a sense of soul. Yeah, this man, Keiko is a weird song. And I think I talked about it a bit before. I don't want to go too deep into it. But really thinking about it, a lot of my songs tend to be that way where it's like, it tends to be somewhat memey as far as like the whole like virgin, incel, vocel, MGTOW references. The self-deprecating humor, but there's a realness there, and I think that's where that soul comes from. There's a realness there. There's Chad Marco there, like some real Chad Marco heartfelt shit there, typically to some degree. But I'm also having fun, and that's why it seems tongue in cheek at times, because it's not that serious, but it's realness there. So yeah, thanks for that comment, Flim Dog. So Hope says, no disrespect to him at all, but his earlier stuff remains his magnus opus, in my opinion. If you haven't yet, check out his robot music mixtapes. I'm sure you'll love it. Fire beats. And then Ghostface says, I actually did. Yeah, the robot stuff was very good, but he can still make catchy music no matter the subject. Oh, yeah, I would agree that, man, that robot music volume 2, like that's definitely like peak Chad Marco shit right there. But I think still though, like I'm still kind of riding that, you know, like sometimes because I'm not very consistent. I feel like, man, like what if I just can't do it anymore? And then I just do it again. So I'm still like in that zone of like that great creative juices just flowing. It's just, I'm not very consistent with it. If I was more consistent with it, I would have more projects out. And that's my goal for the summer. But I'm still very much in that zone. But definitely like Robot Music Volume 2 is like, because I was so focused. And that's why I'm glad I'm working on Volume 3. Because whenever I work on those, I get very much more focused on music. And it brings out the best in me. So you guys got a lot of good stuff to look forward to. I'm glad you guys made those comments. And then now we have Mr. Crispy Maga on the Oreo Man Part 1 Botcast. He says, your analysis of Oreo Man's theories is way off. You sound blue-pilled in his Botcast. You yourself were totally written off. You've made all these changes and you're still in your same situation. Your entire life story affirms Oreo Man's theories. You don't mind being single or a virgin because you've adapted to your situation. You've rationalized it. Tell me, how many changes do women have to make? 0. So I would disagree that my analysis of Oreo Man's theories is way off. I think that me and Oreo Man are simply have different perspective. I think that Oreo Man, he's more of a pessimistic, defeatist type guy. His situation bothers him greatly. I mean, when you watch his videos, it's obvious that this man is under an immense amount of distress because of his lack of success with women and his lot in life. And I simply don't agree with the severity of that state of being. And I think really that's all it is. I don't think it necessarily makes me blue-pilled. I think that more than anything, it's just that I have a more positive outlook on it. Primarily because it doesn't bother me, you know? But it bothers a lot of guys. Like if being single and being the virgin bothers you, then yeah, you're going to have a totally different outlook on these various issues pertaining to the conflict or the war between the sexes that we're seeing playing out right now. But if you're not really bothered by it, then again, you're going to sound more like myself. I know Coach Greg Adams, I always got to shout him out, but he talked about something similar to this too. He talked about the red pill rage that men go through. Like they begin to understand women, and then they learn about all this shit and it upsets them. And then I look at Oreo Man as being kind of like one of those guys to a degree. Like he's in a state of rage now that he knows the odds are stacked against him. Now that he knows the nature of women, it bothers him. And I might have experienced a bit of this, but I quickly snapped out of it. But it's just like what Coach Greg Adams says. You either love women or you understand them. And I feel like I'm just simply in a state of understanding. I look at it objectively. It's just, okay, it is what it is, whatever, I move on. And then he says, you yourself were totally written off. You've made all these changes and you're still in your same situation. And even that, I don't necessarily agree with. I think that obviously I'm still in my mom's laundry room, but I look at growth and change beyond just the scope of material. Well, you know, I was in this location, now I'm here, or I had this amount of things, now I have that amount of things. I don't look at it like that. The changes that I've made have been immensely significant, arguably more significant than any sort of location change or acquisition of different material things. The changes that I've made is literally the difference between life and death. I'm a guy who went from being suicidal, like helium tank under the bed in a mental hospital, to now being happy as fuck, enjoying life every day, smiling, laughing, having fun, creating, and spreading that positivity to other people. So, no, I definitely wouldn't say that I'm in the same situation, especially not mentally, physically, and spiritually. Well, physically in the same, like, physical location, but I've made a lot of worthwhile changes. Again, change doesn't simply pertain to the amount of money that you have or the amount of women that you have. Certainly my money hasn't gotten much better, but it's gotten better. But definitely my situation with women hasn't gotten any better. But that's fine, because I've changed my life for the better in many different other areas. And that's why I enjoy such a high level of happiness at this stage in my life. And I think if guys like Oreo Man would stop being so focused on women and their lack of attention and success with them, and focus on trying to be good at something else, focus on enjoying other things, they'll probably feel a lot better about their lives as well. So thanks for that comment, Mr. Crispy Maga, or as we know in the Discord, Woody. So Butler Harrison says on the Chad Thundercock Part 2 beat, is that the beat? Oh no, that's a song. We need a Part 3 with a beat like this one. Shit was fire. You know I'm doing a Part 3. Robot Music 9003, I'm working on it right now. You know I got to. Like, that's like it's certain things that the Robot Music mixtape has to have, right? For Part 3. We gotta have Chad Thundercock Part 3. And I was thinking also to do like a Debt Filled with No Girlfriend Part 2, right? Or like the Debt Filled with No Girlfriend 2021 or whatever. Like, you know, like, just because that was the biggest song of my channel, period. So I feel like that would be awesome to like a new version of that song. Gotta have a character piece for like one of the incels, one of the incel guys. You know, I did Elliot Rogers first, then Kent. So I don't know who I would do this time, but I gotta have one of them. So definitely gonna get a Part 3 to that. So Gateway 71 says on the SoundCloud and Chill episode of the Botcast, great episode. I like the new OC segment format a whole lot better, to be honest. And right when I switched back to the original, but I peeped that comment, and so in the future I'm gonna have more episodes like that. So what I've been thinking is that for some episodes I'm gonna focus more on just like OC and stuff that I find from original creators across the internet and whatnot. And then other episodes are gonna be more like this, where we have like a main topic and just talk about like subjects that we're interested in, that might be fun to talk about. But I'm definitely gonna have more episodes like that. They're just like completely focused on OC, and maybe even like some tutorials and whatnot like that. Like really go in depth to like my creative process. So thanks for that comment, Gateway 71. So Mr. Crispy Maga says on the OCM Botcast episode 16, Super Straight J3, yes, Coming to America has the same ending as the woke Will Smith Aladdin. The woman becomes the leader. So lame. I saw the original Coming to America in a movie theater in 1988, a classic for sure. The original Die Hard was playing at the same time. Tough choice. So we saw Coming to America, and then the next week we saw Die Hard. God damn, he was there in the era when Coming to America came out. But he's talking about when I was going on that rant about Coming to America, the sequel, and how they kind of embedded all this girl power shit into it, where it's like, you know, the girls want to be the leaders of the kingdom, and you don't have to have a male heir, and it all kind of falls in line with a lot of the pandering that you see now when it comes to movies and video games. And it's unfortunate, because really I don't have a problem with these sort of creative decisions everything doesn't have to be exactly the same. You know, you can switch it up. You can have a black Spider-Man and all that. But I think that it's just, now it seems like a lot of this sort of stuff that's catering to minorities it just seems forced. And it's not as authentic when it seems forced. You know, Spawn is an authentic creation. Spawn is just a character that happens to be black. He is in a situation of, let's make this white character black, you know? Or you look at this Coming to America shit, like, it was like, okay, we gotta have some girl power shit. It just seems so forced, you know? And nowadays, I just roll with it. It doesn't really upset me, but each time it's just like, I make a mental note of it. So yeah, thanks for that comment, Crispy. So this was on the Dark Souls Part 4 video. Brian Anthony Cullen says, love this game. And I agree, I also love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, definitely. Dark Souls is just a great series altogether. I've only beaten 1 and 2. I never played 3. So I'm gonna have to go and play 3. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with Dark Souls. Thanks for that comment, Brian. So Moonbase MGTOW says, Chad, there's an incel documentary called That Field With No Girlfriend, and it's directed by a woman. Too cringe for me to watch myself, LMAO, but might be worth a review. Yeah, I remember that. I might have to check that out. Also, bro, it seems like you got caught lacking in 4K by the SPLC hate watch. LMAO Central Elf Chad, LOL, and then I reply LOL. So I gotta address that. I had no idea what the fuck this was. So it seems like so SPLC Hate Watch seems like some website that like keeps track of like hateful comments that people make on the internet, and they caught me like I did something. And I think, what was it? Was it on Reddit or what? Maybe it was the incel. It must have been the incel website that I used to go to, you know, when the incel explosion happened. And I think this was regarding when the guy got in the car and he ran over those people. And I made a comment that was like, oh, it would be funny. So I forgot exactly what I said, but basically they took the shit out of context. The way they took it was like, I said, him running over the people was funny, which wasn't what I was talking about. I said it would be funny if the reason why he did it was because he was an incel. That's what I was talking about. But this is a perfect example of how what you say can be misconstrued and taken out of context. They read that and thought that I meant, oh, it's funny that he ran over those people. Dude, I don't shit. Now, I'll admit, I find violence to be entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. Chaos and discord, all that shit, it is a part of me that finds that kind of shit entertaining. I would never deny that. You know, I definitely have a demon lurking inside me, but I would never like condone shit like that. Mass killings, all that. No, like, but what I thought would be funny is just the idea of this guy saying, I'm gonna kill all these people because I don't get laid. Like, to me, that's funny. And it's not so much the people dying, but it's the reason behind it. It's just, I'm gonna do it because that's what I was talking about. That's what I found funny or thought would be funny. Like, if this guy did this shit because he's an incel, that's gonna be lousy. And I stand by that. I stand by that shit. I don't condone people being ran the fuck over or mass shootings. But when these guys do this kind of crazy shit for dumbass reasons like being an incel, oh, let me kill a bunch of people because I don't get pussy. To me, that's funny. And if you don't like that, whatever. So Anton says on the Nightwalk vlog, episode 5, why I would never buy sex. I mean, in dating world, you also pay for sex. It's not that straightforward as hiring a hooker, but you have to give gifts, flowers, pay for tickets and shit, and it might not result in having sex in the end. Otherwise, the girl would not be impressed. That's what the whole dating world is about a guy offering something for women. It's my opinion, but still. Now, he makes a good point. And this is something that I'm going to shout him out one more time. But this is something that Coach Greg Adams has been talking about. And he brings up a similar point. But I also disagree with him to a certain degree. And I'm going to talk about this more on the Night Walk vlog. I'm not going to address it here because I was like, yo, this is actually a good follow-up to this. So thanks for the comment, but I'm going to address this whole thing on the very next Night Walk vlog. I'm going to talk about this because it'll basically be like the part 2 to this conversation. You know, if you're not paying for hookers, you're going to end up paying for it in dating anyway. And I'm going to address that. But thanks for that comment, Anton. So Enlightened Survivor says, bro, your best song 2021 here, Orbiters. And not my personal favorite song, but look, if you have a favorite song of mine, I appreciate it either way. I don't care if your favorite song is Blowed, which was my first recorded song, by the way. Don't look for it. Thanks for that comment, Enlightened Survivor. Pumpkin says, on the coping with having a small penis video, I feel he talks on a curve because he is black. His small means only 6 inches. Meanwhile, plenty of us over here struggling with 3. And no, I'm not Asian, what makes it work. No, I'm literally small. Far from 6 inches. Believe me, I am literally small. I got an Asian dick for sure. But yeah, don't get it twisted. Thanks for that comment, Pumpkin. So John Teeter says, dude, you got to move more of your stuff to Spotify. And that's what I'm doing. I just put the whole, what did I put? I think I just uploaded Robot Music 9001 to DistroKid and Spotify and all that shit. I'm gonna do the Super Saiyan Kush mixtapes next though. So yeah, thanks for that reminder. And then Sayo says, been following you for a long time, man. This is the best beat you ever made. Keep it up, bro. That's to the Keiko beat, and that's a very, very good beat. Definitely some high level shit. Thanks, Sayo. And that's it for the comments, and that's it for the episode. I hope you guys enjoy that. And I will come back very soon with another episode of the Botcast. I'm gonna go ahead and give you a sneak peek into the next episode. So I've been reading again, thankfully. And I've been reading a book called The Manipulated Man. And it's a lot of red pill shit in there, man. And what's interesting about it is that it was written by a female back in the 70s. Like, wow. And it's a very interesting book. And I said, I gotta talk about this on the podcast. This is some good shit. This is some good shit. So the next episode is going to be about the book, The Manipulated Man. So stay tuned and you're going to definitely enjoy that. And I'll see you guys later. Ja Ne.